Okay. Welcome everyone to this 11th video in in our study skills series. The goal is of this series is to make you a more independent language learner, so you can fulfill all of your goals in terms of learning English. My name is Dylan Anderson. I am the curriculum coordinator at Northstar College in Hargeisa, Somaliland. Today we are talking about a topic called moving beyond the plateau. This is the first half of the topic. The next video will be the second part out of two. First, we need to talk about the word plateau. That might be a new word for you. So this is from learnersdictionary.com. If you watched the episode about how to use a dictionary, especially the second episode, you you heard about or you learned about the Learner's Dictionary. So this is the definition of plateau from the Learner's Dictionary. It says a period when something does not increase
All right, we lost Dylan, so we'll be back with Dylan once we reconnect shortly. Please bear with us.
Hey Ian, can you hear me? Yeah. Yeah, my computer just crashed. It's never happened before. Yeah, Yeah, I've like literally one in a million things. That's never happened before. So anyway, I guess it was good that it was at the beginning. Okay. Uh, okay. Okay. Cool. All right. Okay. Great. So the word plateau means a period when something does not increase or advance any further. So after several years of rapid growth, the company is now at a plateau, meaning it has stopped growing. Or the price of gas seems to have reached a plateau where it's no longer going up. If you see this, if you look at this graph, this area here on the line would represent the plateau, and this would represent growth, and this here would represent growth. So what we're talking about today is when your English progress is at a plateau, where you feel like you were improving, but now it doesn't really feel like you're improving. You're just, maybe you're studying, maybe you're working hard, but it doesn't feel like anything is changing. So that's what the plateau means, is that time when you don't feel like anything is changing. So we're going to discuss this in two parts. The first part we're going to discuss today is this idea of fluency versus proficiency. Now, this is going to be very important because a lot of students don't have an idea of what they're working towards. I think most students think at the end of the road is 100% perfect English, where they can communicate without any trouble, just like a native speaker, which is kind of just an idea. And it's not very realistic. So what I want to do in this video is give you a more realistic idea of what it is you're working for, of like what, advanced looks like. Okay. Now, advanced kind of, in my opinion, has two different levels. The first level of advanced is what I call fluency. And then the second level, the much harder level, is what I call proficiency. So, for example, fluency, if a learner is fluent in his or her target language, then he or she knows between 5,000 and 10,000 words in that language. And so that's around B2 or like level 5, around level 5 at Northstar College. So if you go to school for about a year or maybe a year and a half, and you work hard, it's not that hard to become fluent, as long as you do it every day, right? Now, proficiency is something very different. A proficient learner has near complete mastery of the language and can be said to know more than 10,000 words in his or her target language being English for you. And the source of this information is down here. Now, in terms of reading, it would look like this. Like, if you're a fluent reader, you can understand most short texts without a lot of specialized vocabulary, but you wouldn't be able to read a book or a newspaper. So, if you see something like, if you see a social media post in English, or if you see, a short news article or a summary of a news article, you can probably understand it. It's probably not too hard for you. But once you get into a longer reading, it's going to be difficult for a fluent reader to understand. Now, proficient is someone who can understand complex texts meant for a general audience like books or newspapers, and is also capable of digesting specialized text in a few key areas of interest. So, for example, if you're interested in ICT or software engineering, you would be able to, either watch a YouTube video, like a longer YouTube video, or a longer paper or text about that topic that goes in depth in that topic. A fluent reader wouldn't be able to do that. They would just be able to understand most short texts, okay? What that looks like in terms of listening is a fluent listener understands most of what he hears, but has to rely on specific words to understand the meaning. So they might not get everything, but if you hear a key word, you can kind of understand the general meaning from that. Now, a proficient listener has like an automatic or instant understanding of everything they hear. They don't need, they don't need to think about what it is that they're listening to. They can just hear it and instantly understand it without any thinking at all. So a fluent listener can understand most everything, has to think about it a little bit. A proficient listener has an instant understanding of anything that he or she hears. In terms of speaking, there's a big difference between a fluent speaker and a proficient speaker. So a fluent speaker can communicate their thoughts without pausing or thinking, and can often find different words to use if he or she doesn't know a certain word. So a fluent, you can talk, for an extended amount of time. You can speak for a half hour or an hour about something. And you don't have to stop a lot to think. You can just kind of talk to other people pretty easily. Now, a proficient speaker, on the other hand, can speak in a variety of what I call registers, meaning they can speak informally, they can speak formally, they can use more phrases, more cultural kind of idioms to express a different range of meanings. That is what a proficient speaker would be able to do. In terms of writing, there's a difference in terms of meaning. Like a fluent writer the writer at the fluent level will only write what is meant and nothing more. It will only have one layer of meaning. Whereas a proficient writer is more flexible, can write with a variety of registers, can write formally, can write informally. Think about the difference between writing a text message to your friend and writing like an essay, right? They're both writing, but they're very different registers. They're very different kinds of English. Also, you can use humor, sarcasm, and hidden meanings. You can have more than one meaning attached to a word, like many people use in their own language. Okay, so a proficient speaker would be able to do those things. Now, what we're going to talk about in the next video, I have just a little bit for you here, is kind of moving from fluent to proficient. So all of you should be able to be fluent in my meaning, in my definition of fluent, meaning that between 5,000 and 10,000 words, you can generally communicate your ideas. You can generally communicate your ideas to people without having to stop or think. It would take about a year of consistent practice. If you look at one of the first study skills videos about time management, the second or third video, it talks about how to schedule your studying. It talks about how to study every day and how to plan that along with the classes. If you follow that schedule for like a year or like a year and a half, it shouldn't become very difficult to become a fluent speaker. Of course, depending on each person's individual life and their responsibilities, how busy they are. And so fluent is the goal that everyone can reach. And what I would like to see is more people going from fluent to proficient, working on going from fluent to proficient. So I'll just have a couple things here. This is more of what next week is going to look like. It says the more advanced you become, the more you have to review, which slows progress. So at the beginning, it's a little easier because you don't have so much to review every time, but the more you understand, it's kind of like you're walking with more in your backpack, like you have more to kind of carry. So it's a little slower to progress. I want everyone to start making short-term goals. If you don't have your one goal be proficiency or sounding like a native speaker, you'll never be happy if that's your goal, right? And set a week-by-week goal so you have a sense of accomplishment. Again, we'll talk about that next week, but you can also learn how to do those things by looking at the earlier study skills videos. The next piece of advice is to set up a consistent schedule. So, set up a time with a teacher with MyTime English, either Northstar College online or in person at a Northstar College course. Our next course starts on December 25th. So if you are not signed up for a course, sign up for a course starting December 25th. And it's going to be a lot easier to study if you have a class, 3 times a week, something like that. Or at least if you have something with MyTime English, it's going to become a lot easier to study if you have to go to class, a few times a week. So anyway, we're going to talk about that next week. It's kind of moving beyond the plateau, practically going from fluent to proficient. Today, we talked about what those words mean in terms of the 4 different skills in language learning, so you can have an idea of where you are and where, how much work you need to do. And also so you can have a better goal. You can have a clearer goal in terms of what you want to do. So I hope you benefited from this course, and I will see you next week for part 2 of Moving Beyond the Plateau. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.